Starting. Cool. So, hey everyone, welcome to the weekly Open KGB project session. I'd like to personally thank Nuna for joining us. First community member, who joined our meeting. So I actually, I think the agenda is posted in KGB channel on CNCF, but I mean like the link to agenda. But I can share the screen and we can go through it. So let me do that. Okay. Do you see what I see?
Yeah.
Cool. So I just So like the main points for me were the CNCF TOC project review outcomes. Then tickets 3H. Just like want to talk about that in terms of our roadmap, and I'd like to discuss the support for Azure. And I believe we have really good person to ask about. So probably we can update it. It will be really good as Luna joined to maybe to hear out his experience so far with KGB, and if there are like any issues, and how we can help. So I actually pinged over LinkedIn because I think we had Stefan, Sebastian willing to help in making KGB work in Azure, and I know Dinar was working on him recently. That's why I actually pinged you, just to see if you had similar issues, and so that we can help and maybe join forces, because this is actually the biggest issue for us. We are mostly in AWS shop, right? We would be happy to extend our coverage with in other cloud providers and DNS providers, but the usual problem is that we need accounts for that, as always. So we are always glad if anybody can help us and be our eyes and like ears and hands on cloud platforms. Okay, so probably I'd go probably with TOC project review. I think in general, I've posted the link right to the video, and in general, the outcomes were really positive. So the project is still relevant, and the use case is still relevant. It is one of the kind of, I think, the only public, let's say, offering that can potentially cover multiple cloud providers. And kind of the only, like, how to say, suggestion is to first celebrate that the project has to celebrate its success, right? So we have some real working use cases. It would be good if community members can reflect on that. So it would be good to have some kind of video recordings and maybe demo sessions, or a like public blogs about that, about experience. And another thing, it'd be good if we can increase diversity in terms of contributors, so that we have more than.
Tim, sorry for quick interruption. If you can click the TOC pull request command that are shared in the doc, Katie actually summarized all the feedback in a single comment. That might be helpful.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I didn't see this one. Cool. So, yeah. So basically, I think definitely that kind of diversity would help us. So it'd be good if more like maintainers from different companies can join the project, and it would be good if we can extend the presence of and support for other cloud providers. Another point was a roadmap, and I think that correlates to the action point ahead. Unfortunately, I really don't have time like in recent days, so I would like to call for help from your side, guys. It would be good if we can sit together and work on roadmap and filter out the issues which are not relevant anymore, and so on. Just need second advice and some dedicated time.
Yeah, we need to plan like a separate meeting for that, I guess. And one thing, like we have, like as I mentioned in this, like a comment below, we have a very light way to track and plan the roadmap via GitHub issues, right? And it's not really visible, at least. Katie didn't find it, and as far as I know, nobody was able to find it in the multiple interactions.
It was good for us. So probably let's use the like standard way of how GitHub is using it, so we can use.
Yeah, I mean, it is convenient, but we need some way to let's say export it to some visible format for the rest of the people. Yeah, so that's kind of stuff, like to make it consumable. So we need to think about it and see, like, I didn't get a feedback on my question, but we probably able to find, like, scout some prominent CNCF project and see how they're doing. Yeah,
like we did before, right? So we are not the only ones, right? So there are tons of CNCF projects out there, so we can check with community here. Definitely agree.
Yeah, the only thing here, like, I don't want to, for example, replicate something super complex. We don't need a Kubernetes way of doing things, because it's like it's a huge project, and we need something simple and lightweight, right? So just to add on.
Let's explore possibilities for that. So what else? If any comments on that, folks, on TOC, something to add on project review?
Yeah, so we were kind of suggested to pursue the goal of incubation level, right? So like, so basically it is following all the above mentioned recommendations, and I don't remember all the incubation requirements, but one I remember for sure. It's a public claim of a production use by a CNCF related companies who are not vendors. So actually like a consumers, right? So APSA would be one, like a first where it was born. And if I understand, Nuna, correct me if I'm wrong, it's fine to publicly also mention MBCP participation in that regard. Thank you so much. It's very helpful. And yeah, if somebody cert will appear, maybe actually this company already exists, like as it was with like, you know, Red Hat customers back in the days. Somebody was testing but totally not revealing it. So maybe there is like another company who can claim the public usage, and we will be with that very important threshold, we will be able to actually work on the incubation application.
Yeah, I know, like I think like the way how we were like trying to be like out loud exposing the news about the projects and so on. So we had like, I think several financial institutions, right, that might be using us, might not be using us, but I mean they were too shy to, you know, to um, to show off about that fact. So yeah, really appreciate, like if you folks are willing to share
Yeah,
your experience about it.
one thing is shyness, another thing is like not willing to exposure for some reasons, right? Security
Yeah,
one.
that's
So
what I'm
I'm
saying. That's what I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
about being shy, right? Let's call it like that. Yeah, we all know. Yeah. So, having said that, I don't know. If you, yeah, it would be good to hear from you. What are the like your experience with KGB so far? What are the issues? And
Mhm. Sure. So basically, we started looking at KGB because we wanted to implement this global load balancing pattern for an internal environment. There are multiple offerings from cloud providers for global load balancers, but exposed to the internet and using their custom offerings, their public DNS zones and all of that. But we wanted that pattern to be implemented in a completely in- internal facing mode. And that's something no one has except K8GB. So we started looking into it and we are now using it in, at least for now, in non-production environments to make sure we have it correctly implemented and all of that. But the goal is really for us to use it as our standard load balancer because we have in our deployment patterns, we typically have geographically distributed workloads. And so patterns of route robin failover are critical to our uptime and service level agreements. The biggest challenges I think we has to do, of course, with integration, and then with the cloud providers and all of that. I think in some ways that was facilitated in our case because everything for us is infrastructure as code. So even, for instance, even pointing to the right IPs for DNS resolution after K8GB was up is something we solved through infrastructure as code and not as a dependency on K8GB itself or external DNS or any of the other dependencies of the product. So no big challenges there for sure. It was basically a matter of putting the glue in the right places with our infrastructure as code. With this said, when we talk about integration with Azure, I suggest we look at it into separate work streams because one is integrating with what in the end is a public DNS service from Azure. And even for instance, when we are configuring external DNS, it's two different providers, one in external DNS for Azure. Now that the standard Azure configuration is for public DNS. And then we also have private DNS as a separate configuration in external DNS because those are two different services from Azure with different configurations, characteristics. For instance, private DNS does not support name server records, although that's supported in public DNS.
yeah, that's actually the case we were trying to solve with AWS as well. And it seems like, I was actually wondering if that's a similar case for Azure because we had it, like we've seen it in documentation, but we were not sure. So, yeah, looks like we have confirmation here, and we have to find a workaround on that, and works towards that resolution.
Yeah, so because for instance, in terms of private DNS, what ends up happening in Azure is that those private zones are connected to the virtual networks. And so the DNS resolver service takes care of all of that, identifying or going out to all of those resolvers and getting an IP out of it. And it's something, of course, we can't configure the public DNS servers the same way. And I think that, for instance, in this case, it's something that we can help define, for one, some examples in how to integrate this even in a few infrastructure as code patterns, which I believe some of the users of K8GB with private Azure DNS will also be doing, using Terraform, using Bicep, using standard infrastructure as code patterns for private Azure DNS, and how this can be glued together, because it's something we did. Because for private DNS, even if we look at on how external DNS is doing it, it's basically you set up whatever you need to set up independently, and then just configure external DNS to connect to it. So I think at first patterns, and then let's see how external DNS moves forward, see how that can be configured as well. And I think we can help provide that, those examples, that additional documentation, to make sure that people in our pattern have a checklist, have a set of topics to follow and implement.
Yeah, that actually I think correlates to what we did with AWS case, right? We also kind of came up with workarounds. So basically, we were using kind of additional internal core DNS servers. So we were using like this servers to actually handle those NS records. But again, this was done like in infrastructure-wise way, right? Not something that we applied, like we changed an application. So we were also thinking that would be good to have this explained as a use case, and how people can do that, at least with infrastructure. I wonder if there'll be going to be the similar case to like in case of GCP, and if there is some pattern here, right? Because it's interesting why the creation of NS records is not allowed if there's something, how to say, not like something is not possible, like an architectural level, or is it some kind of like something is missing, or they didn't think about it, because we've seen that on AWS case it was, I mean, it's still possible to create those NS records via API, right, but not via UI, and we are not sure if this possibility will remain there. So it will be really cool to know more from Azure or AWS folks here, right? And what lays behind these decisions, and is it like security or anything else? Like, why can't we create those in these records? Like to improve really, I mean, user scenario. But thanks a lot for that in that sense. So, folks, anything to add here?
Yeah, maybe to double check the strategies you are using. If I understand correctly, it's a standard round robin and a failover, right?
For us, for now, yeah.
Yeah, cool. And do you have anything like something missing from a strategy perspective that you would potentially use?
We need to, and that's something we want to do probably still this month. We need to see how we can do geo distribution more on our side and how we can set it up in a way that's compatible with our current infrastructure and configuration, and pass the right information or have the right DNS information available for geo distribution to work correctly with K8GB. So as we start that work and move forward, I'm sure we have some good feedback to bring to the project on that.
That sounds great. Yeah. Unfortunately, Dinar, who is author of EDNS zero-based extension, is not today on the meeting, but in 2 weeks we can chat. We can make like a special chat around this EDNS zero area, because this extension, I know that Dinar tried to test it, for example, in AWS, and AWS DNS server chain were not able to propagate the extension information with that extension. So like this, there are also environment complexities in that solution, but overall it's already implemented, right? So like with a custom GeoIP database.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think we can always spin off the thread as well in KGB channel so that we can work on that in a sync way. So, yeah.
And yeah, guys, Nuno, Diego, if you want to join the roadmap discussion, we will be happy to, because what can be better than like customers who are using the project affecting directly the roadmap. So like it makes total sense.
Yeah, totally agree.
If you want to join it, it would be great.
Yes, of course.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah, and
Cool
by the way,
stuff.
welcome Diego as well. Sorry.
Yes, hello guys. Sorry, I was late, but I'm here hearing everything.
Good. So yeah, on that, yeah, on the ticket 3H already, I think I said really need help here, and yeah, and now if you guys can like join in, so we can just like work on the roadmap. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, is there anything else we would like to discuss? Yuri, do you have anything from your side?
Nothing specific. Probably there are 2 bugs in our build system that bugs me that are not happening all the time, but only occasionally. I'm looking into one of them. One is about like how we build our containers with this multi-arc architecture, but it's in essence, essentially it's Go releaser bug, and it's hard to replicate. But it happens from time to time, and I'm not happy about it, so we'll probably keep digging into it.
Cool, thank you. And I know that at least from Michal, that he's working on weighted round robin, continuous work on weighted round robin. So I think the other, I mean, at least like the recent changes, so he would like to solve it through our kind of custom core DNS plugin. He had discussion with Dinar about how to make it better. I don't know all the details, just briefly telling what was there. And I know that usually you were working on, I think, not like integration, but like use case with Captain, if it is possible to use it. So like, yeah, the idea was that so yeah, we are right now, we're generally checking workloads, right? Health. When we decide, yeah, the operator decides like whether the workload health is okay or not. But the idea here was to use maybe some more complex scenario and react on them, and like using Captain for that, so that we can actually check on some additional events in the cluster, right, and update the Edge DNS records based on these scenarios. Any interesting news on that direction?
Well, I don't have the integration ready with K8GB, but I have the deployment of Captain in the multi-cluster environment. What they do, it's kind of different use case than we have, but it will work out in the end, I guess. Because why they use multi-clusters is because they want to separate their stages. The idea is that you have like a test stage on one cluster and production stage on the different cluster. You can mark those stages per cluster, and then you can gradually upgrade the workload from one cluster to another if it passes some quality gate, they call it. If it, for instance, if it behaves perfectly in terms of Prometheus metrics, if some quantiles are met in response time or whatnot. My idea was to provide integration with K8GB in a way that if these metrics are not passed, we can make this switch to from one cluster to another, but it would require the same application to be running in both environments. And it's technically it's possible. So yeah, I'll work on it, keep working on it. So far, I have just the Captain on multi-cluster side. I haven't started the I think integration, but they've got framework for writing those integrations.
Good, thanks. And I see Michal has joined us. Michal, are you there? Do you hear us?
Just in case we didn't hear you, Michal, if you are speaking.
Yeah, probably check your audio. Was my case as well.
Hello, sorry if I'm interrupting you.
Yeah, we hear you. So just so we were thinking about the. So I know you work on weighted round robin. So yeah, it would be good to have an update on that case.
Well, basically what we have at the moment, we can do the weighted round robin. It will be defined in the GSLB configuration regarding the regions or by regions. And at the moment, I'm implemented the weighted round robin that it exists within the local DNS endpoints. First, I was trying with adding the annotation, but now we have like particular endpoints in DNS within the DNS endpoint, and they could contain the labels, and basically the labels define the weight for the particular targets. Basically, this exists at the moment in the PR, so waiting for the approval guys. And the next steps, which I'm working on, is to make changes within our external core DNS plugin, which will read those values from the DNS endpoint and make the round robin based on the library we developed. Second step is covering by Tera test. So basically, this is in the middle of development now.
Sounds really exciting. Thank you, Michal.
Awesome.
It's pretty much most advanced load balancing strategy we developed so far. Yeah, so super cool stuff.
Thanks.
Okay, good. I think I guess that will be all from us for today. If any breakaways, yeah, questions, comments from you guys, something outstanding, please shout.
Yeah, perhaps are we dedicating the next call to the roadmap discussion, or is there going to be another like explicit call just for the roadmap?
Yeah, I think we were thinking about the explicit, separate,
Yeah, let's make it separated to not wait for 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So just like we keep the same cadence and yeah, discuss some really important stuff going on. Yeah, because yeah, roadmap might be like not boring, but yeah, might require some work, maybe more time. Okay.
Yeah, and I think we will be able to extend the current roadmap. I think it's not yet documented like the covers the case. For example, currently we are supporting like only single provider, right? So we are kind of expecting to operate in a single environment, being like AWS, on-prem, Azure, but not between them, right? So we are not covering automatically, at least, a hybrid scenario. So that's something might be very nice future,
Yeah,
especially from
like,
marketing perspective.
We don't know like
Yeah.
if it like, let's say we need to test it, right? Because I mean, we might have like two
Sure.
operators running one of like each separate cloud, right? And they can be configured with their particular edge DNS server, right? But we never tried these scenarios. I mean, that's
So
something else to try really, because yeah, like AWS, Azure, yeah, that might require more kind of. I'm just like thinking how to test this in real time, right? If we can find some solution for that. But
well, in Apsa there is still like a on-prem footprint in AWS one, right? So like there is possibility to test it.
yeah.
And BCP guys, do we have a use case for this kind of hybrid setup, or you're purely Azure?
No, we are in Azure and GCP and on-prem.
Okay, so
Yeah, so we have a challenge there as well, because although we have resolution hierarchy for DNS internally, which is extended into cloud providers, there are still issues with synchronizing all of this.
so there is direct use case, even better. Cool, thank you.
Oh, awesome. So more complex stuff. Okay, cool. So yeah, thanks a lot, Jens, for joining us our session, and I hope to see you again, definitely. Really awesome. So in that sense, yeah, I'd call it a day and see you around on internets. Have a nice one, and yeah, have a nice day.
Yeah, thanks a lot for
Bye.
joining, everybody.
You too.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice day.
Have fun.
Have a good one.